you call it whatever you want, but we have obstacles in our way. So let's set the table. Let's let the table get prepared in the presence of our enemies. Let's focus. We're on assignment. We don't get to quit. We don't have a choice. We're right here, right now. Let's keep going. Drain the lake, clean it up, and let's be proactive and save New Ingram Lake. If we do that, it will also save the Guadalupe. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me thank you for doing that on time. Okay. Got to get back to what I did with my agenda. Okay. Anything else on that topic?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. First, y'all's input is very valuable, and thank you very much for y'all taking the time and organizing and doing what you're doing. And along with everything else, the major concerns going forward will be the economic input that we have here, right? Everybody wants this back to where it was. That'll never happen to get back to where it was, but we would all love to see that. But there's a couple of things that I think y'all probably are not aware of that I'd like to help you with. The state has been using the side scan sonar. They have been up and down Ingram Lake, and there are no vehicles in there. That's a fact. Not a guess. It's a fact. There are no vehicles in there. There's trees, there's stumps, there's debris that needs to be removed. It will be removed. They're already setting up probably to set up the excavators that they have, the barges. That's what we're working on going forward right now. That has to take place first. There will be probably a couple of month time frame for that to all get approved and set in place and be able to go in and extract that. That has to be done with extreme caution and care, because we need to remember what several of y'all mentioned to begin with. The primary focus here is still recovery. That has got to remain first and foremost on our minds, with nothing but honor and respect for these families. That's got to be first. And I know we would like to jump back to pre-flood, but it won't happen until this part of this is completed. And that's got to take place. So when you talk about a 2-month time frame, that would be great if we were set in place and ready to move forward, but we're not there. We have to allow them to complete this portion, this phase of this project, and see what we can do to complete this recovery process. Now, that's just Ingram Lake. But there are not, and I'm sure that there are toxins to some degree. Maybe our friends over here from UGRA can help answer some of that. I don't test that water myself. Anytime you have a turnover with that, you're going to have those gases and those bubbles coming up. That's just a natural cause. You're going to have that. But I will tell you that they are doing a great service to help us with this. In regards to draining the lake, if they do this phase of the recovery and they don't come up with what we're searching for there, that is their next option from the discussions I had with them as of Saturday, because we're still meeting 6 days a week over here. And as of Saturday, that is still on the table. It's not possible to look at that today, because today we have to keep in mind that they need to go in and methodically remove the debris in their search and recovery. And so we have to respect that process going forward. Regardless of what we want, regardless of how it impacts us economically, regardless of anything else, we have to give every effort for recovery. That's just the way it's got to be. And I don't know of anybody in here that would disagree with that. Yeah. I hope. And if that turns up dry and we don't do any good, then the next phase most likely would be to drain that lake. So nobody's ruling that out. All y'all's hard work is very appreciated. I read those reports. They've got some great ideas in them. And I will, and Don and I both will sit down with the state, because Don and I are the team that's working out at the EOC, and we'll sit down with the state and we'll go over these and show them what y'all presented respectfully and see where their ideas are with that. But when we partnered with them, it's the best thing. I think one of you guys said that's probably the best thing that happened to us, or Don.
Without a doubt.
It took that financial burden off of us, because the next thing you're going to want to do is say, let's drain the lake, but don't raise our taxes. right? Those two comments don't work together.
$6
And so
million.
So we do have to work with our state partners through this, and they're doing a phenomenal job, and they're watching this, I'm sure, and they're hearing your comments too, and so they will take all of this into consideration, just as this court will. But the careful, respectful, methodical method that we use in removal of that debris right now is the most important thing. But I did verify that even if those remains were to be found, they would continue with that removal of that debris. So that's going to take place. And all that has to be done. I'm hoping that at some point we get where we can drain the lake. I do realize the importance of it. So thank y'all very much.
Tom, that's an excellent job summarizing what our conversations, and believe me, we've taken a lot of your concerns to Task Force One and the state police, and they said absolutely going in and removing the debris with, they call it clamshells and different things on barges, getting it out of there is the best way for recovery. And because we said, why don't we just drain it and run the dogs through it and figure it out? They said, no. When you start draining that thing, it disturbs everything. It's much better, and with the technology they have these days, they can pinpoint down to a stick, what's in there. And so they convinced me, and so y'all are in charge.
Yeah, we've seen the sonars, and it shows a very clear picture of that entire river.
Right.
I would ask just for one thing, is we need to prove to the public, where is the material? Where is the metal? We've done that with the human bodies, and they've been very accurate, and I'm grateful that they understand that, and that it's law enforcement sensitive data. But in the same respect of after action, we should know every vehicle, every RV, every mobile home, because they all have a frame that goes with it. And we need to kind of prove that we know where all that material has gone, because it has either been recovered or it's still not. Now, home is a little bit different. We saw a few floating homes, we all know that. But the large, heavy metal framed objects, I would ask, as our representatives, to get that number and start tabulating cars, RVs, and mobile homes that have been recovered, so we can take that off the list and not wonder where it's at. And that's not disturbing anything, that's just good paperwork.
Majority of your RVs and stuff were below Ingram.
Went over the dam.
We need to probably publish that and release that so people understand.
Yep. And that's a good point, because I want to remind everybody here that the county has 3 lakes. We also have Flat Rock Lake, and we have Lions behind the Lions Dam. And I can assure the public and my constituents that I've been a thorn in the side, particularly of this guy, because I enjoy that. But asking for him to make star requests and do everything possible so that we can drain all the lakes, including Flat Rock and Lions, because we have the same issues and concerns with those other lakes that you have in Ingram. And a lot of that stuff went right on downstream. A lot of bodies were recovered in the Center Point area and downstream from that. So who knows?
They're still running the sonars. If y'all noticed, Friday, I think it was, I looked in Flat Rock. It looked like a 6-wheel ATV in the river, and it's moving just extremely slow, and that's what they're doing. That's what that is.
Running grids.
It's a side scan sonar, and they're running grids through that, extremely slow, and they're completely mapping out this river.
I think this court understands, and we've been intending to do something about all 3 lakes in terms of draining them. That's why we signed a memorandum of agreement with the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority to start studying in preparation for eventual draining these lakes. And there's quite a bit of study that goes into it and the permit process. So that was already, back in April, I think it was, when we heard that and decided to move forward. But obviously, if we can accelerate it and get somebody else to pay for it, boy, nothing like it.
Well, Commissioner, you mentioned our 3 lakes, but we're also, the cities has
Yeah.
limits, and that's in
And I'm
play
sure
as
they have the
well.
same concerns.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
I have a question. So when we do get to draining the lakes, is there a process that which area you start with? You start upstream and work your way down?
If they were to drain the lake, and we get to that portion, probably the simplest way, the most effective way to where it doesn't have a plunge effect and suck the lake dry and do that and create all the turbidity that would shut down that water plant, we would most likely set up a bunch of large pumps, and it would take a while to pump it all out and divert the water.
But would you start upstream?
I would guess they'd start at the dam. We have the ability right now to lift a gate and drop the dam about 5 feet
Ingram?
in Ingram Dam.
Kathy,
Oh, yes,
that's-
ma'am.
That's the talks now, but that can change. But that, right now, that looks like how it would happen. But,
Right.
boy, they may change their mind, because we've seen twists and turns through all this stuff.
That would be the right way to probably do it, because you don't wanna start downstream and then drain it and fill it
Right.
back up down there. Right. And there is, make no mistake, there is a lot of silt in that lake, and it's horrible.
And so after we do this, is there a way that we can get in there and start like doing good river conservation where those dams really should be drained the river like every 10 to 12 years, is my understanding. And the last time Ingram was drained was 2009.
Right. Draining that lake's a pretty major project. Judge,
It
you
is.
looked like you were fixing to say something on
I
that.
don't think Flat Rock or Lions have ever been drained.
Yeah, well, they're not as old as our lake.
Right.
They are the same age.
They're the same age, Charlie?
All those dams are the same.
There you go.
Okay.
It didn't cost millions of dollars in 2009.
don't
Nothing
know what
costs
the
as
cost
much
was. I
in
wasn't
2009 as it does now, but, I don't.
Let me interrupt.
Yes, sir.
This meeting is being conducted like a workshop, not a commissioners' court meeting. And we have very important business to do. We've got one timed item at 9:45, and I got a lot of people who are not going to get heard till after that, and there's like 16 items that are all very important that have to be addressed.
Yeah.
I appreciate the concern, but this is probably not the best forum to do it.
Starting point.
Well, we've started. And I think what we need to do now is figure out how to start some sort of workshop and information gathering, because there's a whole lot of things that need to be discussed. The applicability of the GBRA agreement, I don't think, takes place until the permit was obtained, and it's not obtained
Oh, yeah.
to date. So we joined something too soon. We're gonna have to take a look at that. There are a lot of things we have to talk about, and I welcome the discussion. These are all things that we need to pursue, and we need to flesh out and get a common understanding. But this is not an action item for today. I don't hear an action item for today. So with that, I'm gonna no, see, that's, you're doing workshop.
I know, I was gonna ask you, well, can we get a workshop?
Yes, you can, and we'll have to get together and schedule it. All that can be done. We just have to do it through proper channels, which is sitting in that chair right over there. But seriously, we do want to continue the discussion, we just can't do it today. So with that, I have to move on to the next timed item, which was 9:15, and that's Todd Bach, and consider, discuss, take appropriate action regarding the presentation of the Kerr EDC 25-26 budget. And
Thank
you know
you,
what
Judge,
comes after
Commissioners.
this? Go ahead.
So today, I'd like to preview with you our request for funding for the 25-26 budget. Got a quick presentation here next. Want to show you here, this is our board members and the representation that our board has from the city to the county to K-Pub, Kerr County, City of Kerrville, ISDs represented in Ingram, Julie Davis, the CVB, Mindy Wendeley, Mindy Curran, Greg Appel, and Beck Gibson. Myself, Todd Bach, as Executive Director, and would like to announce that Teresa Metcalf has rejoined the organization as Deputy Director. We had a plan to bring Teresa back in within the next 2 to 2.5 years, and obviously July 4th changed all that. So we have created a budget this year that would allow for her to be a full-time employee and assist with their long-term recovery. Next. So our fiscal focus this year for 25-26, long-term recovery of Kerr County, individual and business assistance, as well as public assistance, as alluded by Ms. Simmons. When the president mentioned that, or declared the disaster on the 6th, there's a lot of federal money that will become available. We'd like to also announce that Kerr EDC and the Long-Term Recovery Group has 2 experts and specialists consulting us that were responsible for the recovery of Aransas County. They know where this money is available. They will be in our community with us for a while to help all the way from the far east to the far west to identify project needs and then match that project need with the grants and the funding available from the federal and the state level. They were very successful with this in the rebuild of Aransas County and Rockport and Fulton. And, excuse me, Mr. William Whitston showed up this morning at 8:30, ready to work. Moving on from the long-term recovery, we also, as Kerr EDC, have a responsibility to not only retain and maintain our businesses post-July 4th, but a responsibility to our existing businesses pre-July. We had a lot of businesses which were in recovery, in expansion process that we will continue to work, and we will continue to service those businesses that were not affected by the flood, as well as those that were directly and indirectly affected by the flood. Also a part, pre-flood, we had a workforce development partnership that we were working on, bringing all of our local, what we call the educators, together to help match all their programmings that they are involved in with gaining and controlling our workforce for our youth in which we can put in internships within existing employers that would be willing to take those on, and maximize that with Workforce Solutions Alamo's funding to help the employer take those employees in and give them an opportunity to see if this is the field they truly like or want to be in, or the employer the opportunity to hire that potential student permanently. And we'll also be working on the Mega Creek groundbreaking. We look forward to seeing that in 2026. Don't have exact dates yet. They are still in the process of obtaining their TCEQ permit. Next. Judge and Commissioners, if you will look in the budget, you'll have, this is a new budget for us this year, the first time it's ever been presented this way. We have contracted, the board has decided to contract with the city of Kerrville for our bookkeeping, so moving forward, you will see a more continuity in our budgeting and our estimates and our process through our accounting. As you'll look on the far left-hand side, you'll see the budget for 24-25, which was $550,000. Then you're going to see the center column there is an estimate that we had to run through and build an estimate based on what we assumed expenses would be from June through the rest of the year. In September, our executive director, Gil Salinas, left the organization to take a job back home in Brownsville. And in January, we lost our deputy director, which was the interim executive director, and had a job opportunity that was given to her. The board then allowed me to step in as a board member and take over operations and just maintain operations until June. And then the position was offered to me full-time, which I accepted, and July 1 was my first day. And so we had to make some modifications and change our budget. I do want to point out, too, that this budget does include having Teresa. As you'll see, the county contribution was reduced by 27.3% along with the KPUB contribution for the year of 2026. And EIC has approved this budget with their 9.1% increase to $375,000, bringing a total proposed request of $475,000, which is $75,000 less than the 24-25 budget. As you go through the salaries and wages, you'll see that we had cut expenditures there. We go through on the supply side, on the general operations, our software maintenances, our phone, legal services, audit, banking, and insurance, which we took then and had a 21% reduction in operating costs. And next item would be the business retention and expansion, our BRE program. Well, the BRE program is going to be somewhat of a mixture of what we just spoke about on the long-term recovery, plus plans that we had for the previous existing opportunity for the existing businesses pre-flood. You'll see there in our first personnel, we've got the biggest increase you'll see that was not budgeted because of the way we budgeted previously was the $12,664, which will be used for our personnel and meeting spaces to host those meetings with our educators and workforce.
We're not on the right slide, I don't think, are we?
Oh, I'm sorry,
There we go.
maybe one more. There we go, sorry about that. There is the business retention and expansion. Please keep in mind, Court, that these were pre-flood. As we know, things changed drastically. We did make a few modifications. Number one, we felt like getting Teresa on board was the most important, to have a second set of hands to help us. She has been part of the organization since 2016 to 2021 full-time, and she ran the business retention and expansion program for Kerr EDC. Moving to the budget, you'll see marketing. Marketing is a title for what we would use as a business attraction. In the past, Kerr EDC would go market out to other industries that we were looking to attract within Kerr County. As you can see, that is a minimal at this time in a budget because we have budgeted to be a part of the greater SATX instead of a lot of independent marketing. So we are now a part of the greater SATX partnership, which puts us in the San Antonio market and the, I believe, 8 surrounding counties. Any business looking to expand within that region that contacts the greater SATX, we now get a look at their business model, their needs, what industry they are, how many employees they are going to look, properties, locations, warehousing. So we have reduced our budgeting in just the overall marketing for that, and have increased that and put that into our budget for being a greater SATX partnership. Okay, there at the bottom of this slide, you will see that we have an updated fund balance, which is going to be the center column of $175,712. Our intentions are not to use that money for operating expenses. The board will have discretion over that use. We have talked about and have not limited to anything. At this point, we are looking at potential micro lending to businesses for their business retention and expansion. We are looking at facade grants it could possibly be used for. Just so you know, our board has full control over those dollars, and those dollars will not be spent without board approval. And I will turn it over to the court for any questions.
Just a comment. Great brief. I mean, complete confidence with you being there, and I thank you for the work that you're doing, Todd. It's definitely appreciated.
Thank you. And likewise to everyone in this room and everyone up there on the court. It has been amazing. As Judge, you know, and you're on the board, and Tom, your first day on the second meeting on the board. We are moving fast, and I will comment briefly on that long-term recovery group. We are working on every aspect we have within that long-term recovery group. We've identified 14 individual sectors that we have volunteers from east to west that are a part of to handle unmet needs, to warehousing, to mental health and wellness, to construction, to home building, you name it. We have many volunteers that have been and involved within their communities doing this. Just so everyone knows, this is a community-led and a community-organized organization. It is from grassroots up. We've been working with the Community Foundation, and we are also looking at other major funding sources through the federal and state levels to help out in this recovery process. There are many different opportunities that we have the channels to access. We'll just be spending the next near future identifying those throughout the communities and then get after the grant money.
Todd, I appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, that's not the format. That's what I'm trying to say. Do we have a motion?
I motion we accept the report.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to accept the KDC budget as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you,
And
Judge.
for those of you that don't know, the members of the KEDC board are part of the core long-term recovery group, helping lead that along with, 30 other people? But it's all good.
Yep, right now, Judge, I think we have probably pretty close to 45 to 50.
Right.
within that organization.
And they hit the ground running.
Yes, sir.
With that, let's take a 5-minute break, come back at 10:15, and we'll start with the 9:45 items. Those of you that are not 9:45 items, if you want to take some time before you come back, feel free to do so. These are technical things that we have to go through. Court will come back to order.
Got a lot of 945 items.
16. It's all technical stuff. Court will come to order. Can somebody close the back door back there? Thank you, Tara.
Well, he'll be in the hallway talking.
There he is.
Yep, I was right. Get caught out there, you can't get out.
Okay, court will come back to order. We have 16 9:45 timed items that we need to take before we can get back on the agenda, the regular agenda. So we're going to start with item 1.9. That is, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to reset the public hearing on the proposed Kerr County budget for fiscal year 25-26 for 9 a.m. on September the 2nd, 2025. The public hearing was originally set for August 25 at 9:45 a.m., but did not get published in the newspaper as requested, so the date must be reset. Notice of the new date for public hearing to be published on August 23, 2025 in the Kerrville Daily Times. The Kerr County budget for fiscal year 25-26 will be adopted at 9:45 on September 8, 2025. Ms. Shelton,
Yes, that is our request.
that pretty much tells the whole
That
story.
fits all of the dates that we have to comply with.
And so that the public understands, we had a little snafu. We're trying to get it published, and there was a miscommunication, and we didn't get it in the paper in time. So this is how we salvaged it. So we got a motion?
I'll second.
And a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, my only question is this still the budget that was presented on the 13th with the date August 13th? or
No,
have you
because
modified it?
y'all have made changes since
Right.
then. Y'all have done all kinds of adding staff
Yeah.
since then. So
This
it
is
will be on the
latest
new.
updated version.
Yeah.
I'm updating it pretty much as I'm getting information as I
And I'll
can.
provide you some new information.
Yes.
Okay. Well, as soon as you can share that with us, I'd like to see it.
Any other discussion?
Nope.
Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 1.10, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to reset the date and time for the vote on the Kerr County budget for fiscal year 25-26 for 9:45 a.m. on September 8, 2025. The vote was originally set for August 25, 2025, but did not get published in the newspaper as requested, so that the date must be reset.
I move for approval. Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve resetting the vote on the budget as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. 5-0. Item 1.11, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to adopt the elected official's salary for FY 25-26. Ms. Zapata.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Same salaries that were approved or that we presented previous court.
At our last meeting, did we discuss this?
Correct, yes.
I move for approval. Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the elected official salaries for FY 25-26 as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Item 1.12, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the grade and step schedule for FY 25-26. Ms. Zapata.
So this is a grade and step that's increasing by the 2%. I sent y'all a copy on Friday for y'all to review.
I move for approval as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the grade and step schedule for FY 25-26 as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 113, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to adopt the position schedule for FY 25-26. Ms. Zapata.
Again, this is, I sent y'all a copy on Friday. This is increasing the 2% for everybody's salaries.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the position schedule as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 1.14, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the general provisions for FY 25-26. Ms. Zapata.
And so this one, the general provisions, the only thing that changed from last year was we added the wording where a new employee, new to Kerr County employee, a new employee, new to Kerr County, would be able to increase it 2 steps. That's it. It's just a little wording that we added in there. Make that clarification from last year. Other than that, they stayed the same from previous years.
I'll make a motion that we approve the general provisions for fiscal year 25-26 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the general provisions as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, thank you. Next item, 1.15, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to accept the order setting the salaries for the county auditor and assistant county auditors pursuant to the Texas Local Government Code, Section 152.031, and the effective date to be October 1, 2025. Ms. Shelton.
Yes, you have before you the order. This is after the hearing that was held on August the 1st.
Right. I'll make a motion that we approve the salaries for the county auditor and assistant county auditors as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just, what's the percent increase? That didn't show the last year's salaries, so I was unable to calculate it.
I believe it's 7%.
I want to point out something, that this is, the wording is accept, not approve. You know, it kind
Well-
of comes down to it.
You're right. This is
flows
beyond our
downhill.
authority. I understand. This is, our district judges have said
Oh, I
this.
know. That's
So
what I'm pointing out.
We don't get a say, but I wanted to at least understand.
Yeah.
They're obviously a lot more generous with the taxpayers' dollars than this court was with our staff.
Yes. We went 2%, they went 7%.
Thanks for pointing that out.
So,
But I might point out that the assistant auditor position that is open has been, we've run that salary past one before, and they didn't take it, so we're not even sure we're gonna be able to fill that position. Just for what it's worth.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Next item is 1.16, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to accept the order setting salaries for the 198th District Court Reporter and the 216th District Court Reporter. Again, we don't have a choice on those.
Yes, this is the same hearing on August the 1st, and this was outcome. This order was set at that time.
I'll
For
have the
these
same
orders.
question. What's the increase?
I would have to go back and look at this. I don't know that off the top of my head. I probably knew it on August the 1st. But they do participate in all of the wage adjustments that y'all do, all of the county benefits, that everyone gets those also.
You know, they get to set the increase.
The district judges do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it may well be different, and I'd like to know what that is.
If you could follow up with us on that?
Certainly.
Subject to the follow-up?
Sure. I mean, it wasn't my motion, so.
Where is the accountability in that when we're accepting an order?
The accountability is, they're holding us accountable.
Yeah,
They review us.
I know.
She's hired by them to
Right.
oversee what we're doing.
Right, right. But I'm just saying, when we're talking about salaries, that I'm not sure why we're accountable to vote on accepting an order from them on a salary increase. It just seems like it's kind of,
Because it goes in our budget.
And local government code does require the order to be presented to Commissioners Court, and Commissioners Court to pay those salaries.
okay, so
That's
if we
part of-
decided we didn't want to accept it, what would be our recourse?
Lawsuit.
I guess that's my question.
Lawsuit.
Attorney General.
And I'm not suggesting we don't. I'm
I
just,
think there's shall language in there that requires you to do it.
I know, right, yeah, that's the reason this seems like a redundant exercise to me.
Yes,
As
Well,
far-
but we have to include this in our budget, even though they're not our employees.
Right, right.
Well, it would be nice if the district judges would perhaps come to court at about the same time that we're discussing employee salaries and have that discussion. They can still, they're free to do what they want to do, but I kind of feel like there's a huge disconnect.
I don't think statutorily they're required to do it.
I agree.
No, they're not.
I said it would be nice.
I know both of them personally. They'd be happy to come talk to us
Sure.
if we needed them to do that.
Sure.
With
We haven't
all,
requested that.
with all due respect, that is why there is a public hearing when they set these wages. So anybody that wants to participate can come by and participate. It
Well, that
is
answers my
published
question
in the newspaper.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you, Tammy.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a motion and a second to approve them for the court reporters?
No,
No?
no.
No second, no
No,
motion?
no motion, no second.
I'll make a motion.
And a
I'll
motion
second.
And a second. To approve the 198th and 216th District Court reporters' salaries as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. 1.17, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to rescind court order number 41378, as the court does not desire to use section 26.042 of the Texas Property Tax Code. Mr. Reeves.
Good morning, gentlemen. Based on the various workshops, it is my understanding that it appears the court does not want to utilize section 26.402 of the Texas Property Tax Code. This section of the code deals with using the voter approval rate of 1.08% due to the events of July 4. If this is the case, then based on advice from our ad valorem tax attorneys, the court should rescind court order 41378, which authorized me to calculate the voter approval rate in that manner.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. 1.18, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to take a record vote on the proposed 2025 Kerr County tax rate. This will be a combined tax rate for Kerr County and lateral roads. Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir. The next three agenda items will deal with the proposing and setting the times and dates for a public hearing and subsequent adoption. Item 1.18, this item pertains to the court proposing a combined rate for Kerr County and lateral roads. Based on the budget submitted, it's my understanding that the combined tax rate for 2025 is 42.33 cents per $100 valuation. That breakdown is maintenance and operations, 35.31 cents, interest and sinking fund, 4.92 cents, and the lateral road fund, 2.1 cents per $100. This rate does exceed the no new revenue rate of 40.24 cents. Now, should the court desire a different one, the INS and the lateral roads would be the same. The only difference would be the maintenance and operations.
Well, I would like to see a no new tax rate of 0.3831, actually.
Excuse me, Commissioner, that is not the statutory no new
Well,
revenue rate.
No, I didn't say no new revenue. I said it's effectively a no new tax rate. Anyway, I would like to see a rate of 0.3831.
And I would like to see a no new revenue rate of .4024.
I agree with that.
Do we need to make a motion to propose a different
We're gonna-
rate, or what do we gotta do here? 'Cause I'm
What-
happy to make a motion to.
Whatever rate y'all vote on must be a record vote
Yes.
by
Understood.
roll call by the judge.
Right, okay.
I understand that.
Yep. Again, just to be clear, I'm gonna make a motion that we adopt a tax rate of 0.3831.
There's a motion. Is there a
There's a
second?
motion.
No second? Motion fails for lack of a second. Is there another motion?
And I make a motion of .4024 to be
Second.
adopted.
Got a motion and a second to adopt the 0.4024 tax rate, which is the no new revenue rate, as I understand it.
Yes, sir.
And if I'm clear, Judge, that would be a maintenance operations rate of 33.22 cents. And Ms. Shelton, please correct me if my numbers are off. The debt rate of 4.92 cents, lateral roads of 2.1 cents. Does that concur?
So I'll just point out that even though we're calling it a no new revenue tax rate, it will increase taxes on those who don't have their taxes frozen. Well, I think your estimate was $74 based on the average appraised value of $360,000. Is that correct, Bob?
The average home value.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean everybody's taxes will go up because averages, there's some.
Absolutely. Because of the appraised value differential, I mean, they're not all the same, so I agree.
Discussion?
Yeah, we've looked at this budget real hard, and I told Ms. Shelton I had some other information to share with her too, and I think we've got our FEMA number down for where we started at around 10 million to less than 2. By everything I've been able to come up with some real numbers. Probably closer to 1.3 is where we're at. And so I think with that being said, the no new tax revenue rate, I think is in order, without putting us in a dire strait here.
I agree.
That's an expense.
It is. It is.
I'm concerned about revenues.
Right.
So just to quantify this, that's going to decrease our 25%, because we're, our best practice is to have 25% of our fund balance for expenditures, or expenditures in fund balance. And so that is going to take us down closer to 22%, which means next year we will need a plan to go up about 1.9 million. That's how far, with adopting or looking at the 4024, that's how much under we'll end up being at the end of the year.
I think that's understood. And of course, I will point out that we have typically had a much higher reserve balance at the end of a fiscal year from what we estimated it would be at the start of a fiscal year. For example, the approved budget in 23-24, we had a projection of an ending reserve balance of 16.3 million, and we started the fiscal 24-25 with a reserve balance of 32.2 million. And then that estimated for this current fiscal year, we estimated that we would have a $17.8 million reserve balance at basically the end of next month. And currently, I mean, it may have changed slightly, but we're projecting a 26.9 million starting balance.
So Commissioner Paces, I will kind of update you in looking at the financials at the end of July.
Yep.
Last year, at the end of July, we had $7 million left to take us through the end of the year. This year, we're at $1 million. So the negative budgets that the spending of the fund balance that we have been projecting through the years that generally don't happen are most likely going to happen this year between the expenses of the flood and just because everyone is spending their money this year.
The case. I guess I'll wait and see the latest budget when you put that out, because that will have the expected reserve balance, won't it?
Mr. Reeves?
Yes, sir. It's on you gentlemen now. I've given you the numbers. I would like to make one comment. My calculations have been on the front page of the website. There's a link since early August. One of the early comments in the court.
Before we vote, maybe can we hear from you why your recommendations at .4233?
I make no recommendations, Commissioner. I make calculations.
I made that recommendation.
That was
In my
based
proposed
off
budget.
the judge's budget?
And I was just trying to keep the tax rate the same as it was last year. That's what I was trying to do. Because we're losing revenues. We're losing quite a bit of value for the damaged properties. And I don't see anything replacing that lost revenue. We are spending, approximately 40% of our fund balance to pay for things in this coming year's budget. We're not gonna have the ability to replace that $11.5 million come next year. And when we talk about no new revenue rates, it's all based upon the state's limitation that counties can only increase their tax rate a maximum of 3.5% per year, if I understand that correctly, Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir.
And we have, in Mr. Harris's and my tenure, we have never raised the tax rate like that. Not one single time. And what that's done is put us farther behind in terms of what our tax rate really is. And we elected not to take advantage of the emergency tax rate provision in the tax code. And I'm worried about keeping the tax rate the same rate that I proposed. I genuinely am scared to death with that tax rate, and to reduce it any more than that is almost hair on fire time for me. And I think that, to obsess with the tax rate loses sight over what the tax rate is really intended to do. And that is to fund local government. For local government to be able to do the things that the Constitution and the subsequent statutes require us to do. And I'm afraid that we're not going to be able to perform those functions if we let this tax rate continue to go down like it has. I just don't think it's sustainable long-term. And I say that merely as a caveat to the public, that don't be surprised if we can't pay the bills.
Well, Judge, I agree with a lot of what you said, but also, this is a tough time for folks. And July 4th changed a lot of things. And I think the no new revenue rate is definitely the route to go. Understand, next year, that we probably won't be able to do that again.
Let me just put a question to the auditor. You need to go to the podium so that people can hear you. This is important. Remind all of us again, what are our estimated damages so far from this flood?
I would have to defer to Commissioner Jones. He continues to cut down on the amount of the damages that we're having as a county itself. So we most of ours are covered by our property insurance. What's remaining are roads and bridges at about $600,000, I believe. The latest I saw on the lift stations, that just came in this morning, I think it was $100,000. Charlie, thank you.
Yeah,
Charlie sent that.
97,802. You've got the temporary mobile bridge, which most likely we will not have to pay that 500,000.
Most likely.
Well, I know, so we have to put it in there.
Yeah.
Right.
But so you've got that temporary bridge at 500,000 that we've already been told is most likely going to be paid for, but they're waiting for us to get everything set up, and we'll have more discussion on Cade Loop here shortly. But you're looking at about $500,000 for Cade Loop. You've got guardrails, roads, and bridges. You're looking at about $600,000 or $100,000 for that total now.
No. It is
It is the
600,000
600?
total. The 100 was in addition to. all the
Okay,
guardrails.
that's right. Yeah. And I'm trying to just look over a screenshot right now, by the way. And so that's cut that way down. The sewer system cut down to right at $100,000. The Flat Rock and Lions Camp and parks, 132,000, gets you to 1.332872. That's, and then add that other 500,000 for that temporary bridge that we're looking at until we know for sure it's funded. Get you at the 1.8.
And he said Lions Camp, but he meant Lions Park. instead of-
Yeah.
Right.
I,
Don't get him.
Oh, yeah, I forget there's a camp, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
But those damages were not in our budget.
No.
But we also have two different groups that are stepping forward to try to help fund restoration of both of those two parks.
Those damages were figured in to the overall budget portion, because you were showing originally $10 million, right?
Yes,
And so, because that's money that would have to go out to
yes,
cover all this until we got our reimbursement, right?
yes.
And so now
FEMA
we're
is a
looking at- now we're looking
reimbursement
at-
grant.
at,
I'm sorry?
13% of that number originally is
So-
where we're at.
So again, and with that, we had taken down road and bridge. Also, if you'll look at that proposed
Right.
schedule, to 8% fund balance. So that's 1 month. And so after that, general fund would be having to put money back in. So probably whatever doesn't end up going toward FEMA will go toward road and bridge.
Right, right. And so for me, the biggest concern that we should have is what's our overall loss on property damage? And we're at 238 million with that?
We are using, 240,000 was the pro rata for the current year.
240 million.
240 million, sorry. 240 million, and so if you annualize that, that's 480. And looking at that, that's about $2 million is what will come off the top next year.
Right.
And in this next year's, let me re-say that. Whenever the taxes are set, or for, not the year we're talking about, but the year after, that's when the 2 million will come off the top of that, because we're estimating that the values will be lower because of the loss. What that means to the county is there'll be about $2 million lower coming in and being able to use,
Right,
possibly.
right.
And we've also projected that into this next year's budget, as far as saying we're not going to collect the $2 million, the people that had the loss. There's a $1 million that they can get the disaster exclusion for, I believe is the name of the form, that they would be turning into the Central Appraisal District.
Right.
And what's the deadline to turn that in?
I
Sometime.
believe the deadline is October 18. I think that is a Saturday, so it would extend to the next business day on that. The total impact to our levy won't really be known till after I send my bills out. We are making a proactive attempt to get everybody to get the values in before, or get their exemption forms in, but they've got a lot of other things on their mind other than getting a form in. A lot of them probably won't come in till after I get the bills out in October. I also anticipate, as Ms. Shelton said, the collection rate, I'm already seeing some impact to it year to year. Last tax year to this one, pretty much attributed to the last 7 weeks.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Yeah, the long-term recovery is gonna be extremely important in all of this too, right? Because we've got homes being rebuilt today. We are literally months and months ahead of where most counties are at this time.
Yes, sir. The ones that could be rebuilt, it all depends on where they're at on January 1st. That's the valuation date for property taxes. So, 30-plus, 40-plus years of real estate appraisal. I don't use a crystal ball because it's all fuzzy.
Right.
So I really can't anticipate, other than my years of experience, we're gonna see a decline in taxable value. This year, every year we get to depend on new value, in other words, a new house built. This year, the events of July 4th, if all exemptions are turned in, will probably erode
Right,
100+% of what we normally gain.
right.
And I'm glad you mentioned about the new homes, because we've been watching new home builds, right? And we understand our growth rate has gone a little bit more than 0.8 to about 1%. So there's value in the future with new home builds, but a lot of that's been in the city area.
The cities in Kerr County, Commissioner.
Yes, so with that, for public understanding, shared proportion of taxable value on that?
There's no shared.
Just all,
If it's $1 for us,
Whatever their
they
tax
have
rate
some abatement, so it's not necessarily $1.
but-
You build a $100,000 house in the city of Kerrville, Kerr County will see $100,000 of new value, not taxes, new value from that. The city has various programs, so I can't really speak
No.
on that.
The county hasn't had much in the way of tax abatements. There was one.
right.
There is
Yeah, I'm
one.
tracking.
Otherwise, we have not been overly generous with tax abatements.
That's correct,
But
Commissioner.
we are experiencing growth, and there's some new
Sure.
homes, and
We
that's gonna bring
have
some
been.
value.
We have been, that is correct.
And the rebuild of a lot of homes brings maybe the values eventually back up, but right now seems like they're gonna be struggling for a little bit.
Yep.
Ready for the
Thank you.
vote?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
ready.
Okay, well, this is a record vote. And the motion is to adopt the no new revenue rate of .4024 as the cumulative tax rate for Kerr County for the coming year. Is that right?
It's to propose the rate, you will subsequently adopt it at a future meeting.
Okay, so this is to propose.
And
propose that
I
rate.
will point out, at the time of adoption, you may come down, you may not go up.
So we're capped.
Understood.
That's the top that you can go with,
Do we need
Judge.
to modify the motion then, or? are we
No,
good?
that's the law.
No. Okay.
So with that, precinct 1, how do you vote?
Yes.
Precinct 2, how do you vote?
Yes, for .4024.
Precinct 3,
Yes for
Precinct.
.4024.
and precinct 4? Yes. And I'm gonna vote against it. So it's a 4-1 vote. We'll move on to item 1.19, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to set the date and time to hold a public hearing for the 2025 tax rate for Kerr County and lateral roads.
Yes, sir. Ms. Shelton, the projected date is the 8th? No, I'm sorry. First is next Monday, so 2 weeks from today. So it would be if the court desires, September 8th. I do need, if that is the date, I definitely need to know now, because I've got to get the notice to the paper.
Right.
I move for approval, September 8th.
At what time, Commissioner?
The budget is at 9:45, so 10 or 9:50, usually 9:50.
9:50? Okay, that's my motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 1.20, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to set the date and time for the adoption of the 2025 tax rate for Kerr County and lateral roads, Kerr County and lateral roads.
This will have to be at some point in time after the hearing. It can be at the same meeting if the court so desires.
I'll make the motion to make it September 8th at 9:55.
And that's to adopt
Yes.
the tax rate, Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to set the time for the adoption of the 25 tax rate for Kerr County and lateral roads for September 8 at 9:55. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hands. Unanimous. Item 1.21, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to take a record vote on the proposed 2025 Lake Ingram Estates Road tax rate.
Yes, sir. The 2025 tax rate to service the debt for the Lake Ingram Estates Road District equates to 9.81 cents per $100 valuation. The entire tax rate will be dedicated to the interest and sinking fund. A record vote of the court should be taken for the proposed tax rate I've outlined.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve, and tell us the rate again.
The interest and sinking fund rate for the Lake Ingram Estates Road District is 9.81 cents per $100 valuation. I would point out this only affects the property owners of the Lake Ingram Estates Road District. This is not a county-wide tax rate.
Okay, so we have a motion, take a record vote, and for the proposed INS rate for the Lake Ingram Estates Road District tax rate to be 9.81 cents per $100 valuation.
That is correct, Judge.
Just a question for Commissioner Harris, is this Lake Ingram Estates, were they damaged by the flood or not really? I'm not
Everybody,
familiar
the whole
with it.
county is damaged by the flood.
Yeah, but physical damage,
Some.
some?
Any other discussion? Those in favor? That's a record vote?
Record vote,
Record vote,
please.
so precinct 1, how do you vote?
Yes.
Precinct 2?
Yes.
Precinct 3?
Yes.
Precinct 4?
Yes.
And as a county judge, I vote yes, 5-0, unanimous. Next item is 1.22, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to set the date and time to hold a public hearing for the 2025 tax rate for Lake Ingram Estates Road District.
Yes, sir. Just as you read the agenda item, we will need a time to hold a public hearing for this tax rate. I believe it would be the same day, September 8th, and at the time that y'all choose.
I'll make a motion for September 8th at 10 o'clock. a.m.
Got a motion and a second to approve the public hearing for the Lake Ingram State Road District tax for September 8, 2025 at 10 o'clock in the morning. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. 1.23, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to set the date and time for the adoption of the 2025 tax rate for Lake Ingram Estates Road District.
Yes, sir. It's the court's prerogative what date and time, but typically you would do it right after the public hearing. And if y'all would provide me with the date, I'm assuming September 8th and an appropriate time.
Let's do it September 8th at 10:05.
I mean, you don't have to have 5 minutes in between. You could just put it at 10 o'clock and
Will that work?
it'll just happen right
It's
after.
up to you. I need
I
to
know,
be
but
able
will
to.
that-
Normally, just to defend why we do that, that creates a record of what we did first and what we did second. I mean, we put it all at 10 o'clock, that's
I'm
true.
just saying, yeah.
But when we build it into the agenda, then it's very
Yeah.
questionable that we did it that way.
You're right.
Regardless of what-
Guaranteeing that you got a 5-minute break as opposed to.
We had that happen.
Public hearing.
We've had one that we did set, what, 10 or 15 minutes, and we had to
Yeah.
Anyway,
pause.
it's your motion, whatever you want to do.
Already said 10:05.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion?
We need a second.
Oh,
Second.
Okay.
I will second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second,
Oh, you did?
He
Sorry.
beat you.
and this is for September 8 at 10:05.
Yes, sir.
Okay, those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. And the last time item in this sequence, 9:45, is item 1.24, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the optional $1.50 child safety fee and optional $10 county road and bridge fee for 2026 vehicle registration per request from the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles, and authorize the tax assessor collector to submit the approval to the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles. Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir. Section 502.403 of the Transportation Code allows the county to charge a fee not to exceed $1.50 when registering a vehicle. This fee is dedicated to child safety. The fee must be approved prior to September 1 of each year, and it becomes effective on January 1 of the following year. Kerr County began collecting this fee January 1, 2021. In the 2024 calendar year, Kerr County collected $87,316 from this fee. During the current calendar year, through the end of July, we had collected $57,286. This fee is divided pro rata according to population with the two municipalities of Kerr County as well as Kerr County. So we receive roughly half, and I believe there is a service fee that we may retain out of that.
Bob, I ask this every year, where does that money go?
You'll have to ask.
Where does this money go?
I guess the one we always wonder about is the child safety fee, like
can
the
be
$1.50. It's
it
like,
can
is
be
that,
used
is somebody
for
getting a free car seat, or
crosswalks.
that it's needy?
Crosswalks,
Okay.
school signs, and we do have school districts outside of the municipalities.
Oh, yeah.
If you think Nimitz, if you think Centerpoint, if you think Hunt.
Sure.
I don't think there's a crosswalk across 41 at Divide, though, Commissioner.
But it's a dedicated fund.
It's a dedicated fund, that is correct.
That's all I wanted.
Yes, sir.
I've provided information in your backup, I won't read it all, how this child safety fee is placed in the handbook by statute. In addition, Section 502.401 of the Transportation Code allows the county to charge a fee not to exceed $10 when registering a vehicle. This $10 fee is dedicated to the County Road and Bridge Fund. According to the Texas DMV, during the 2024 calendar year, Kerr County collected $582,110 from this fee, and during the first 7 months of the current calendar year, we have collected $391,910. This fee also must be approved by September 1st of each year, and it becomes effective January 1st of the following year. Kerr County has been collecting this fee for long before I was in this office, and I know all of this money every Tuesday is transferred to a specific fund for road and bridge operations. I respectfully request that the court approve the $10 optional fee for the road and bridge fund of the county and the optional $1.50 for the child safety fee. The fees would become effective 1/1 of 2026, and after approval, I will forward the information to the Texas Department of Motor Vehicle.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the $1.50 child safety fee and the $10 county road and bridge fee as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we're going to go back to our regular agenda. And I believe we're on item 1.2. And I apologize that you've had to wait this long.
You have timed items.
No,
Oh, you're right. Okay.
it's
Never
great.
mind. Okay,
We've already done it.
sorry about that.
And this is 1.2, is consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to determine the status of the Guadalupe River. Is the Guadalupe River closed to recreational activities such as fishing, kayaking, swimming, or gathering on the riverbanks, either on private or public lands. And this is Melanie Shabbat?
Schubert, yes. Hi, my name is Melanie Schubert. I am the owner of Treetop River Cabins, which is a commercial property located in Center Point, Texas, 114 CP River Road. I'm directly across from Lions Park Dam and the closest commercial property upriver from the dam. And the reason why I'm coming to the court is I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. I've done whatever I can to buy a property that was FEMA approved when it was being built. It was out of the floodplain, so the interior of our property was not damaged. Anything below our property's floor plan and livable area, we did have a lot of loss. But I kind of planned ahead for most of that. I've been in several floods before, so it wasn't my first rodeo going with the flow. And I have to say, thank you to everybody who was a first responder, who is sitting in this court today, to the sheriff, to Upper Guadalupe River Authority. Out of all the floods I've been to, the Wimberley floods, the Blanco floods, Hurricane Katrina, I don't know why, but my family lives on water, so we've been there, done that. This was the most organized one that I've ever experienced. And I've mucked out a whole lot of houses because of floods, but I was really impressed. The one thing that stabbed me in the heart a little bit is when I did try to recover our property as fast as possible, I knew I couldn't host some of our guests, so we had a lot of loss of business. I had a lot of reservations that canceled because of the fear of the river not coming back to life and it not being a wonderful place for people to gather. I had reservations through 2026 summer that have canceled. I think we collect our first night's deposit, so we gave away like $16,000 worth of deposits just for people that had planned on coming. So yes, I know it's going to take a year, maybe two to recover, but part of my plan, kind of like you said, there's a lot of catastrophes out there. I think now we're in the mental health part of it and the money part of it. And part of the mental health part of it, I know for me, recovering is coming back to the river, opening it back up. Making it a peaceful place for people. They might not want to dip their toes in the river, but there was nothing more healing this weekend than being out on the dock in the middle of the Guadalupe, drinking coffee, and just waving at everybody coming by the bridge. It was healing, and the river, as far as Upper Guadalupe River, I've been in contact with them almost every week since the flood. I've been testing the water ourselves. I know they've been testing it. I think, I can't talk about all of the river, but I know at Lake Center Point that our water is cleaner and clearer now and has less toxins in it than it did before the flood. They've tested for everything, car batteries, paint, whatever they could think of, things that they had never tested before, and they're not finding anything of it. So I'm really hoping that everyone here, including the commissioners, will join me in trying to now restore it money-wise and just educate everybody about the river. I kind of feel like as a landowner and a business owner, one reason why I bought this business is I felt like it could survive the biggest flood I could imagine, which, yay, we did survive, but now it's time not to be scared of the river, but to educate people how to be good stewards of the river, how to rebuild good, how FEMA has told us to rebuild. Slow down and let Mother Nature take some of the healing process so that we can heal along the river. Some of the sheriff's department brought this to y'all's court's attention a couple of days ago. He walked up and said, some lady with some Airbnb sent me an invoice. I don't know what to do about this situation. Somebody came to her river, came in her private property, and my deputy told them that he would advise against being in the river. Well, that family packed up and left, and I had to refund them $3,800 for their family reunion. It's really hard to take money out of my pocket right now when I've done everything I can to bring it back. Me and the sheriff, I think, are on the same page now. Me and the GRA are on the same page now. Mr. Pace has really helped us out in saying, let's restore the park. Let's do what we can for the riverbanks. So I feel like a lot of people are ready to get back on the river, at least start gathering on the riverbank. So I just wanted to make sure all of us were in accordance with that. before I go back on the news anymore, or I start doing a bunch of advertising and pushing our businesses to open. I just wanted to make sure I had y'all's blessing in trying to do that, basically. So that's what I'm asking, is for the blessing to start advertising and start saying that our river is open. I think that I've done the due diligence of making sure that the property or in the waters in front of me are clean and clear. I've had more than 60 first responders staying there for free the first 2 or 3 weeks, because I wanted everybody with the big trucks and the sonar and the night tactical ops and all the dogs to stay at my place for free, because I wanted the benefit of them getting in that water, you know, making sure it was good. Anyway, so that's what I'm here to do. Is my first goal is to get back to business, and the second goal is to help educate families and friends and people who don't live on the river, how to be stewards of the river, how to gauge when the river might be coming up, how to read the gauges that are out there for the Upper Guadalupe River Authority. Because since I've been to so many floods, it didn't take me by surprise that we were flooding at all. I told my husband to be there at 4:30 in the morning, and we were knocking on doors and letting people know, because I knew how to read all the gauges. I knew 31 feet were coming. I knew that our people had to evacuate to Dollar General. I was there Thursday afternoon, meeting and greeting our guests and telling them, sleep with your telephone beside you tonight and have your car keys right beside it at 6 a.m. They all got the warnings from me by us knocking on the door saying, put your keys in your hand. If you don't want to swim out of here, you need to drive. And, you know, we had our evacuation plan. Anyway, those are the things that I want to teach our guests as hosting them. And I want people to still come from San Antonio and Houston and different places. Anyway, that's what, yes, sir?
Just a point of clarification. I appreciate what you're doing and being very alert. I love to hear that you're actually track river gauges, which are still available to do and are a great tool to do on your phone. But the comment we survived, Dylan Smith lost her family 10 trees up from you, where you're at. So I would ask that you retract that part of your statement, because you don't want that going out.
I agree, yes,
Right?
sir.
There's
Yes,
110
sir.
families that didn't. We always want to be mindful and respectful of that. While your business is still in a good place and you did the right decisions, which I applaud, right? But just please
Still
retract
tender.
that statement.
I retract that statement.
Thank you.
And I would like to comment that that's a very hard for you to want us to say that it's open for business and ready to move forward. That's a complicated thing for us to answer, because we have no clue yet what the debris removal or recovery down on that part of the river may be yet to come. You're looking at it and saying it looks nice and clean and the water tests good and everything. And I'm saying we've got people with the state right now that have got sonar equipment running through there, and we still need to do debris removal throughout that river. And so it's probably gonna have to be your call whether you think somebody would be safe in that river, but we may have a barge in that river at some point with a clamshell.
I agree.
That comes
Is
in
that-
overnight, you know,
Right.
all of a sudden you got people wanting to kayak and stuff, and then all of a sudden there's,
I don't see how
sonar
we can
equipment and
responsibly tell you,
barges.
yeah, go
Well,
get on the river.
as Mr. Holt said earlier, Commissioner Holt said earlier, if we could, if there is some way that there is a database or something we could look at of where those dangers are or when things might be clear, and I know it changes every single day, but I do have an app when you check into our place that says current river conditions, if that could be.
We're not gonna be able to give you daily updates what the state's locating on the river,
Okay.
if that's what you're asking for. And we will not be able to do that, because they've got equipment up and down there, they get new information daily, and it changes. And so, we can't take on that kind of liability to say, go get on the river. It's your property, it's private property.
You have the right to
And I would
conduct business.
I would not tell you can't.
Right.
Let me ask the county attorney to address this on the legal status of where we are with this,
Where we are with the debris removal?
with the disaster declaration.
Being able to tell them they can just go,
It's really about recreational activities. I think it's just an
Well, I
advisement.
want them to always do it with caution, you know, and we do have liability waiver that they sign, but they also, I post the Upper Guadalupe River Authority. I look to them a lot, and the Texas Parks and Wildlife. I look to them a lot and want to educate my people to look at them so that they're educated on the conditions of the river. But should I not tell people the river are closed? I guess that's my question.
I can't give you advice about what you should and shouldn't do with your
Okay.
private business. I can give the commissioners advice.
I-
on what-
Right.
If you would,
We're still
let's,
in a state of disaster.
let's go to
Okay.
the podium, because I think the public needs to hear exactly where we are. We got 3 disaster orders in place. The counties, the states, and the nations. So what is the scope of these disaster declarations with regard to private property owners being able to use their river frontage?
Well, I think that the concern that Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Harris both just addressed is that things change every day. And as far as debris removal goes, and what private property owners and businesses decide to do with their property, they can't really reasonably be updated every day on the status of the debris removal from the river. And they may invite someone or rent their place out to someone, and there's a big piece of equipment in that, right in front of their property the next day. So that's hard for y'all to do as a court, and I don't think you can, but.
Well, that's my question, because we've got a presidential disaster declaration, we've got a governor's disaster declaration, and we've got the county judge's disaster declaration. And is use of the river by private property owners within the scope of those declarations?
I can't say that I've read anywhere in any of those declarations. No, I haven't looked at them in some time, a few weeks, as it relates to this specific issue. I can't say that I've read that anyone has said stay out of the river
Well,
as part of those disaster declarations.
so what I would like for you to do is review that and
Yes, sir.
report back to us.
You got it.
If it's not addressed in those disaster declarations, then it falls to the individual property owners.
Yes,
Right?
sir. Yes, sir.
And that has, and we need to be able to let the property owners know if that is the legal state of affairs, or if it's covered by the disaster declarations. We had this come up on the autopsy issue.
Yes, sir.
And I reported to the governor that I didn't think I had the authority to tell them that they couldn't order autopsies. And he said he thought he did, and it turned out he did.
He did.
And so on this one, I'd like for you, as our county attorney, to read it and tell us if it's included by the disaster declarations, ma'am, then you're stuck. But if it's not in the disaster declarations, then it's gonna fall back probably to this court as a whole, all 5 of us, as to what we do about that. If you think that's a health, safety, and welfare concern.
Okay.
And I understand where you're coming from, but we just need some clarification as to, you're asking what you can do, and we don't know. But we will find out.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we can at least point out that we had a discussion in our last commissioners court meeting, and at least the sheriff's office will no longer be advising people that they can't. be
Right.
in the
We act
water.
in good faith under advisory, and we've talked, she's very helpful, very nice about it, but we're not doing that anymore.
Right. So, I mean, it goes back to property rights, and, if you in your best judgment, looking at all the data and information that you have available, have determined that it's safe enough from your liability standpoint with your renters, then you have the right to, they can be in the water or on the water, but.
This was a twofold question though, because it says on here either private or public. So we need to know where we're gonna be on our.
Yeah.
Well, I think as far as
The
public
judges-
use of our portions of the river,
Right,
this court gets to decide that.
correct,
It's a
yeah.
very important item. Appreciate it being brought up.
And so,
if it is closed, like if the park, Lions Park is closed, then it could be closed temporarily, like there's,
Yeah.
equipment that's
Well.
coming in or out, that they don't want public to be there while their big equipment's there, although it's kind of cool and very educational, and we're usually applauding them as they come up and down.
Yeah.
But if it needs to be closed at that time, then I say maybe just like a, road closed type sign to be put
Yeah.
up, so that we know in
This
I agree
is-
with you, but, you know, we have never closed the park officially. We've closed the road when it was flooded and covered.
When people down
Road's
there
been open
fishing.
for quite a while, and people have been using the park and the water, so.
And I've been using it as an educational tool.
To be continued.
So this is to be continued. Okay. Okay. This was supposed to happen a long time ago. But item 1.4 is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding a plan for developing and operating a flood warning system for Kerr County. Commissioner Moser.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate the time. Can you have the first chart, please? In the way of background, I was a county commissioner from 2012 to 2020. And prior to that in my life, I was a project manager at NASA on the Apollo program, Space Shuttle program, and Space Station program. So I've got some familiarity with engineering projects. And what we're discussing today is an engineering project. We approved a flood warning system, or looked to improve a flood warning system in 2015 and 2016 because of what happened in the Blanco River. We had an interlocal agreement at that time between the county, UGRA, and the city to develop a plan to improve our flood warning system. The first phase of that plan was developed by Hewitt Engineering, did a great job. We planned to go to phase 2. That didn't happen because we were looking for funds from a grant. 2 grants were applied for, but were not received. So we put it in abeyance at that time. The proposed, excuse me, go to the next chart, please. The proposed flood warning plan is, I'm going to say this very carefully, is to develop a unified flood warning system with separate modules. And I'll talk more about those modules as I progress through this presentation. In any project of this type, whether it be space shuttle or whatever, it's in phases. Phase A is the concept. For example, in the shuttle, it said, develop a reusable transportation system to take goods from Earth to low Earth orbit. The second phase was the definition, which we looked at hundreds of different types of configurations to do that. We decided on one, which is a space shuttle, if you've seen it today. The next phase then was to develop those individual modules, the orbiter, the shuttle tank, and the rockets, okay? So those were the modules, and then to operate and maintain it. So I'm going to talk today a little bit about a proposed organization of how we can do this and proceed forward, and some roles and responsibility and a recommendation. Next chart, please. During phase A, which is the concept, I've drafted something here which I think captures what this system could do. And that would be the flood warning system. To establish and maintain a flood warning system with automated capability, come back to that, that provides adequate warning of an impending, life-threatening flood in sufficient time to reach safety for people that could be affected. And by sufficient time, I would envision something like no less than 15 minutes when you know a flood is getting ready to happen for people to reach safe grounds. Next chart, please. Phase B, that's the definition. That's where you establish requirements for what the flood warning system is going to be. That's a big effort, and I'll talk more in that about detail. It's a big effort, and it could be done by a team of people, a small team of people, which I'll delineate a little bit later. The first thing to do that this team in establishing requirements is gather lessons learned. Listen to other communities that have gone through what Kerrville just went through, or Kerr County just went through, what it went through in 78, 87. And I understand there was even a flood like this same magnitude in 32. I don't know that for sure, but I think that there was. But North Carolina has gone through it, Colorado has gone through it, New Mexico's gone through it. All these communities have been through that, experienced it, and learned, so we ought to listen to them and understand what they've done to benefit from that. There are candidate systems. I think I've seen 10 or 15 proposals that have been sent in, okay, that says, here's what could be done. People have really good ideas. During this definition phase, listen to those people, okay? Gather the information and then decide what it should be. Examples of what requirements could be at the top level is being able to predict the flood before the rain ever falls. That's based on National Weather Service information. And do that with high confidence, with like 75% confidence that you know there's going to be a flood just based on what the weather prediction is. Improve that confidence by measured rain data. There's many, many rain gauges throughout the county that can be used to take the next step of saying, let's say with confidence now, there's going to be a flood based on the rain data. And then the last thing is what's happening in the river, the actual stream flow, velocities, and height. Now you're up to probably a 99% confidence there's going to be a flood. Then the other key requirement is on a system like this, what's the availability? That means when is that system available to do what it's supposed to do? It ought to be like 99% available to do what it needs to do with the reliability of about 99%. So how long would this take to do something like this? Probably less than 6 months. You could set a goal of saying, let's complete this by the end of the year, establishing all these requirements. But this would be a big effort to establish the requirements, to do it properly. I'm not an advocate, from my experience, of saying, let's put sirens every 2 miles on the river. That may be the right answer. I don't know, okay? Let's determine how to do it. And a big part of it is, can we do this automatedly, okay? And to do that would be taking data, putting it into a model, predicting what's going to happen, and then with that capability of identifying a potential flood coming, to automatically set off the alarm system. Now there could be somebody could interject themselves into that and stop the alarm from going off, but don't rely on somebody receiving a phone call and then call somebody else to make it happen, okay? Phase C, next chart please, that's the development. That's where you actually build the system. That's a year-long plus effort to do that, to put in all these warning systems and the capability to predict. And I think the first thing you do there is to get an integrating contractor, okay, to look at this total system, to look what's going to be done. And I'll talk more about the modules in just a second. But then part of that is develop RFPs, requests for proposals, for people to come in and establish a module for predicting what I just said, where you take the data from the Weather Bureau, the measured rain data, blah, 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 and predict that there's actually going to be a flood. The next part of the module is projection. That means submitting the warning to the public and everybody else. And then currently on this thing about predicting, UGRA has a contract existing with Kister. I think that would be a key part, could be a key part. Ingram, they think they know how to do the warning system. Okay, maybe that's right, maybe it's wrong, but they ought to develop what they think is right, okay? And to do that, total system development and implementation is probably in the year plus. Next chart, please.